Captain Justin, we trusted him and he came through for us. The coastal parts of the United States play host to some fascinating ecosystems. Typically invisible to those on land, a boat offers insights into these hidden habitats that house unique animals. While along the Gulf Coast of Texas, we had the opportunity to explore the bays and estuaries along South Padre Island in search of some specific species.
Hey everybody, Derek and Ryan here from Badgerland Birding. We're here with our friend Justin, and we're actually going to go out on a boat to look for some cool warblers and other birds today.
Yeah, our target specifically is a species called the Mangrove Warbler, which is actually just a yellow warbler, but a different subspecies, and the males have a bright red head. And that's going to be a really exciting species for us to find, or I should say subspecies for us to find. But there's a ton of other stuff out here too. We're getting out on the water today, and it's nice and sunny out, so I think it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and there's a chance that this species might get split into its own unique species someday, so we could get a nice armchair lifer that way.
The body of water we would be traveling on was Laguna Madre, a hypersaline lagoon that serves as a very important habitat for many different protected animal species, especially birds. Before setting out, we spotted some iconic South Texas birds from shore, most notably great kiskadees and brown pelicans. After watching these birds for a bit, we started out on our adventure with Captain Justin. Permission to come aboard, Captain.
Ahoy, Captain.
Welcome to the Zugenru.
Nice. What does it mean?
Zugenru?
Yeah.
You don't know Zugenru?
No.
It's migratory restlessness.
Oh.
So the feeling of birds like feeling compelled to migrate basically at the right time of year. Zugenru. It's German.
Nice.
And it's pronounced very differently, but we go with Zugenru. Or Zugi.
We slowly made our way out of the channel, passing numerous docks that served as resting places for laughing gulls and black-bellied whistling ducks. Soon, we picked up speed and headed for a more wild part of the Laguna.
Been spotting some stuff from the boat. There's a really nice roseate spoonbill over here, but we also had reddish egret views. There's a long-billed curlew. A lot of cool stuff seen just from the boat.
There's just stuff everywhere, like you just, drive along and then all of a sudden something takes off or something lands and you see a sandbar with a bunch of birds. It's pretty epic.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to see.
After a short trip, we ended up in a bay lined by mangroves. This was the perfect habitat to start searching for our target birds.
Mangrove warblers like the big dense mangroves and kind of like mangrove woodlands basically, whereas seasides their habitat's kind of being encroached by mangroves, and so that's the reason for including seasides in this study, is to see how the mangroves moving in may affect their movements and or if they're fine with mangroves. It's possible, but the mangroves just get so big and obtrusive that it really changes the habitat.
We quickly got eyes on an elusive sparrow that emerged from the mangroves. That was the best look I've gotten at a seaside sparrow by far. He did just come out to the end of the mangroves. It was pretty sweet.
Just had a seaside sparrow, no bands on this one, and a water thrush in those mangrove roots. And those mangroves have those really unique, really compact, thick root structures, and a lot of stuff can hide in those, even especially when in the water. Fish love going in there. That water thrush is kind of hanging out in there, so that provides a lot of cool habitat.
We continued our quest for the mangrove warblers, scanning all of the vegetation around the water. Eventually, we got our first looks at a female of this species.
This bird is a female, could be a young bird, but the fact that it has no red at all on the head, even a young male at this time of year, midwinter, would have some little flecks kind of coming in on the head, and of course adults have the fully kind of chestnut red head. So this is either an adult female or a younger bird.
Would any yellow warbler we see out here be a mangrove?
Most likely, yeah. This bird has called a couple times, and it has made kind of more sweeter mangrove type calls. Yellow warblers are northern, are possible in the valley and in more kind of suburban forested areas, but not really in these mangroves typically.
Is that a mangrove warbler? Adult female though, so you don't see that reddish on it. But still cool to see one. Hopefully we'll get a nice male.
We ventured deeper into the mangroves and arrived at an area that was absolutely loaded with birds. In addition to hundreds of long-billed dowitchers, willets and wading birds such as white ibises were also present here. Additionally, we got incredibly nice close-up views of roseate spoonbills, which really showcased their amazing colors.
We happened upon an area where the mangroves opened up, and right here there's a ton of shorebirds and also some wading birds. So we've seen some roseate spoonbills, there's a ton of dowitchers here as well, and it just looks like a paradise for birds that like to feed on sandbars and shallow water.
Not too long after seeing these birds, we turned our attention back to the mangroves, where we finally found a beautiful red-headed male mangrove warbler.
That was epic. We just had a mangrove warbler male just perch up like just a couple feet in front of us. Justin got us in real good position, and got some really great looks at that with the distinctive head and just all the colors.
At the time of this video, mangrove warblers are actually a subspecies of the yellow warbler. However, given the distinctive look of the males, it's quite possible that with enough research, they could become their own species over time. While male northern yellow warblers are bright yellow with some reddish chestnut streaking on their sides, male mangrove warblers have a distinctive reddish chestnut head, making them drastically different looking. Mangrove warblers are year-round residents of the coast of northern South America, Central America, and Mexico. The only place in the United States to find them reliably is South Texas, specifically South Padre Island and the areas around Laguna Madre. These birds feed on insects and small invertebrates that they find in the vegetation around the water's edge. They will even search rolled up leaves to feed on spiders and other invertebrates that live in them.
I honestly think that was probably one of my favorite birds from the trip so far, just with the niche habitat that it lives in and the fact that it could become its own species. What an awesome find.
You want to explain what an armchair lifer is for anyone that doesn't know?
An armchair lifer is when you found a bird that was at one point part of another species but then gets split. So then if you've seen that subspecies, you technically have a life bird because it's a new species. So you don't actually have to do anything, but you gain a new life bird on your checklist.
So you get it from your armchair.
Oh, yes. You can get it from anywhere, really. In a chair, on a
Driving.
couch, on a toilet.
Finding our target bird meant that we got to explore more of Laguna Madre and see some of the other birds that live there. We left the small channel and bay surrounded by mangroves and started traveling the more open water that stretched so far it felt like the water and the sky melted together. We passed by many fishing shacks in the middle of the water, as well as some birds using them as perches. Most notably, a peregrine falcon and an osprey. We also picked up a friendly mammal along the way too.
Had a dolphin around, and he was riding the waves on the back of the motor that the boat was creating. It was a really awesome experience. He was doing some barrel rolls there and looked like he was having the time of his life.
That dolphin was incredible. It's still splashing around over here, but I've seen them before, but never like that, where they're actually like cruising behind you. That was so cool to see it play.
You never seen it like that?
Not like that, not behind the boat.
We checked out many different sandbars and found more birds at home in the salty water, such as pelicans and American oyster catchers. We also had some encounters with different raptor species, including white-tailed kites and a white-tailed hawk that was sitting up on a sign and eating something. We started making our way towards shore, but before getting back, Justin decided to take a detour to see if he could find us a ringed kingfisher. Traveling back past our starting point into a channel, Captain Justin found yet another target bird of ours.
Yes! Dude, good spot. I got it.
Captain Justin, we trusted him and he came through for us over and over again.
We got to spend some time watching the ringed kingfisher as it flew from perch to perch, serving as a very nice conclusion to the day. It was an amazing experience being able to see all sorts of different bird species in the hidden world of Laguna Madre. In particular, it was a treat to see the mangrove warblers in one of the only places in the country that they can be found in. Maybe someday we will come back and explore the hypersaline waters of Laguna Madre again. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding. If If you like our Rio Grande Valley videos, or have ever been to the valley yourself and want a souvenir, be sure to check out our Rio Grande Valley shirts and other merchandise using the link in the description below.